My bad for not getting to the NFL Q&A video last week. As you could tell, I was trying to crank out all the team-by-team previews and got all 32 of them done. Hip, hip, hooray, and all that jazz. But it's too late to do those. So I asked you guys for more questions, and you provided them. So now I'm going to give you the weekly NFL Q&A video. Let's go ahead and get started. Vidi Los Penuso asks two questions. First, do you think Miami will go 0-16? I think they're going to try to go 0-16. They are putting their best foot forward for sure. I'd have to imagine at some point in time they will stumble into a victory or two, though. So I don't think 0-16 will be in the cards for them. But they're going to try. And then second part, the second question, will Bang Bros get the naming rights for the Heat's Arena? There is no way in hell that's going to happen, but God, it's awesome to think about that. What would they call their arena? The dildo? Anyways, moving on. They're not getting the naming rights, but it's funny to think about. It's funny to even read the question. Code Quads TV. Hey, Kevin Nash has a sports channel. Hooray! Kevin Nash just tore his quad to that. Anyway, some of you will get the joke, some of you will not. Thoughts on my Dallas Cowboys? I think they're legit. I think they're real, and I think they looked pretty good in week number 1. Granted, against a crappy Giants team, but still, there are traits and elements there that you really have to like. You really had to like the play calling of Kellen Moore in week number 1. The Cowboys are going to be in the mix. Barring disaster, they're going to be one of the contenders in the NFC this year. That's what I envision for them. Chet Awesome Laser. Does J.J. Watt retire and make it to the Hall of Fame before Andre Johnson gets to be the first Texan inducted? Excellent question. I think part of that depends on how many years J.J. Watt is still going to play. If he plays another 3 or more years, then I would say absolutely not, because Andre Johnson won't go in first ballot, I wouldn't think, but I don't think it'll take him that long. Whereas J.J. Watt, when he retires 5 years later, he'll be first ballot. So that's what it comes down to. At this moment, I would say Andre Johnson gets into the Hall of Fame and is the first Texan to go in before J.J. Watt does. Real Loba, do you think Lamar Jackson will have the best career out of last year's quarterback class? That is an excellent question. Excellent question. Long term, you could potentially make an argument for that. Although you might say Baker Mayfield's game puts him in a position to potentially last longer in the league. Like, the problem with a lot of these really athletic, really mobile, good running quarterbacks is that if they don't adjust their game and they don't change, that they can really start to break down physically in their late 20s and very early 30s, and you're seeing that now with Cam Newton in Carolina. So that would be the one thing that give me a little pause with Lamar. He's still kind of on the smaller side in terms of his frame. I know he's put on a little weight, but still. So that would give me a little pause. I would say the only quarterback I would completely eliminate from that conversation right now is Josh Rosen. Otherwise, you could say you still got to look at Baker Mayfield. You got to look at Sam Darnold. Yes, you still got to look at Josh Allen. But Lamar's in that mix right now. Maliciousness. What good teams now could you really see falling apart in a year or two? Good teams that I could see really falling apart in a year or two. The Pittsburgh Steelers being one. I think they're at the end of their rope. Other teams. Seattle Seahawks could potentially be one. Trying to think here. New Orleans Saints, especially if Drew Brees hangs it up in the next year or two. Maybe my Chicago Bears, if Trubisky isn't the guy at quarterback, then that's going to be a constant saga, and that could lead to some mess down the road. Maybe the Chargers. Those are some of the teams that I could think of. TJ the Greatest asks, in your opinion, what are the top 5 worst NFL fan bases and the 5 best? Much as I hate them, I don't know if I have enough time or energy to go through 5 each. The best fan base has to be Green Bay. I mean, if you've ever been to Brown Bay, you know that's pretty much all that they have. They live for them. But when you look at just how hard it is to get a ticket to a game, let alone a season ticket, um, the community owns the team. Like, that's the best fan base in the NFL. And I can feel comfortable in saying that as a Bears fan. It's just reality. It's just reality. That's flat out. Worst fan base right now, Los Angeles Chargers. In that market, they don't have one. They play in that stupid soccer stadium in front of 30,000 people, and 20 to 25,000 of them are fans of the opposing team. That has to be the worst fan base, and it's not even close right now. Vinny E_21. What do you think about Minka Fitzpatrick requesting a trade from Miami? At this point, it most certainly doesn't hurt him. Might as well ask, might as well try. If you're the Dolphins, though, you just spent a first-round pick on him last season, and he showed some upside. He showed potential. To then turn around and trade him, you're hearing reports talking about a second-round pick. That's just stupidity. That's not a formula for success for an organization either. A guy that you just took 11th overall, I believe it was last year, should be a building block and a foundation piece a year later for your rebuilding project. Not sitting there and trading him for a second-round pick. Yeah, that's just not how you do it. That's just not how you do it. But I can't blame him. If you don't want to waste a season on your body playing for that tanking team, then don't. If you can't help it, try to get out of there if you can. Absolutely. I am Doofy asked, was the Titans' blowout win over the Browns more about the really bad Browns play or the amazing Tennessee Titans? I think it is easy to focus on how bad Baker was and how booty the Browns were on both sides of the ball. I also think you have to give credit to the Tennessee Titans because their offense was really, really good and their defense was outstanding. So it kind of goes hand in hand. If anything, it was the way the Titans came out of the gate in week 1 and they were ready to roll that made the Browns look that bad. Josh Grantham, another Titans-related question. Some reason I get quite a few Titans fans. Without an initial freak-out reaction from week 1. What do you think of the Titans? Well, I thought they were the team best positioned to win the AFC South this year. I think they're a 10 or 11 win team. I think they're a team that you can get into the playoffs and you can maybe win a playoff game or two. That said, you still have big questions, I think, at the quarterback position with Mariota. And if you end up benching Mariota or he gets hurt inevitably at some point, then you got to go to Tannehill. But I think they're the best team in the AFC South. They're not that good, what they showed in week 1, because I don't think the Browns in part are that bad, but they're the best in that division right now. I feel very, very comfortable in saying that. Abel Herrera. Are the Baltimore Ravens for real? Like, this is, again, when we talk about the week 1, don't overreact. But they did win 59-10 on the road. Granted, the Dolphins are terrible, but they won 59-10. If you can run the ball, play good defense, you got a chance. It's hard to evaluate the Ravens after 1 week, though. It really is because the Dolphins were so bad. So bad. And I think you need another 2 or 3 weeks to be able to sit there and really evaluate this question. Jack McCarty asks, will the Patriots go 16-0? It's kind of got a 2007 vibe to it right now. Look at what they did week 1 to the Steelers. They dismantled them. They embarrassed them at home, and they didn't even have Antonio Brown. What's going to happen when they do have Antonio Brown? Looks like starting week 2 in Miami could get real interesting. That said, only one team in NFL history has went through a regular season 16-0. Notice the key word there. So that doesn't include the 72 Dolphins who went 14-0 in the regular season. The overwhelming odds are that the Patriots will lose a game or two. They will lose a game or two. They might only lose 1. They might lose 2. I'd be stunned if they lost 3, though. Kieran Chase. Who did the Detroit Lions waste more? Barry Sanders or Megatron? Megatron surely was wasted, but Barry Sanders was wasted way more. Nobody, I think, is ever going to argue for Calvin Johnson being the best wide receiver in NFL history. There are people that argue for Barry Sanders being the best ball carrier, the best running back in NFL history. Like, Megatron had Hall of Fame talent. Barry Sanders was a truly once-in-a-generational type of talent. That is the much bigger waste, in my humble opinion. Michael Presley, do you think the NFL making pass interference reviewable is a good idea? I mean, they had to do something. It's worth a shot. We're going to roll with it this year and see how it goes. We'll see what happens when you get a big challenge in a big spot and see what the booth review says. I think it can work. I would have liked to have seen him give teams one more challenge if they were going to add this, but, teams are going to have to pick and choose their spots on when they use their challenges a little more cautiously now. Robert asks, what in the hell are the Giants doing? I don't know. Does Dave Gettleman know? No. Or maybe he does, and if he thinks he does know what he's doing, then perhaps that's even scarier. I have no clue what they're doing right now. None whatsoever. Bunny_91. Did the Bengals' performance in Seattle change your opinion on them at all? Not in the sense that I still think they're a bad team. 5-ish wins, maybe. 4. At least with the week 1 returns, you could say you got something out of John Ross. Andy Dalton threw for over 400 yards. So that might be a credit to your head coach, Taylor. They're just not a very good team. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Week 1 is week 1. I understand that. And they played well in week 1. They, in theory, played well enough to win, but they didn't get the job done. But yeah, I wouldn't have high hopes for them this year. I know I certainly do not. And then Willie Mothersbaugh, interesting name, asked to close us out. Do you think it's possible for Pittsburgh to make a Super Bowl with their current roster? You're asking this question after week 1, the very easy answer is hell to the no. That said, stranger things have happened. I still think long-term they are better off without having the distractions of Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown in that locker room. But we could have gotten to a point where we have now gotten there too late, and you're truly at the end of the Steelers cycle here. I don't know. Like in that AFC, they're not going to be able to beat New England the way it looks right now. They can't outscore Kansas City. Would they beat the Chargers in the playoffs? Would they beat the Titans in the playoffs? Yeah, I'm just not seeing it right now. So I don't think they make it to a Super Bowl with the way the roster is currently constructed. But again, I could be allowing week 1 bias to creep in here a little bit. So thanks to all of you that submitted your questions. Hope you got the answers you were seeking, or at least got some amusement and enjoyment out of. I'll do these Q&A videos every week. I'll try to stay on it. So thank you guys. See you later.